Hi everyone, it's Jessica Reesby here from Reesby IT Recruitment. I decided to make a video just to give you all some advice on how to go about the interview process. This video is specifically for those in the IT industry. However, the skills will probably be transferable to various other industries and sectors. First things first, finding the right role that suits you. Now, there is no point in putting in 100 applications to all of these different jobs that don't really even suit your skill set. Try and choose 10 or less that really fit exactly what you're looking for. Research the company and tailor your resume and then put the application in. I really recommend that you leverage your networks, speak to some friends, speak to those who you previously worked with or who you currently work with, just to see what other opportunities might be available on the market. Just remember that not all jobs are advertised on Seek, guys. A lot of times companies do come to companies like myself, recruitment agencies, and they won't advertise on Seek for their roles because they're using a recruitment agency to resource for that position and facilitate that process. So make sure that you sign up to a few recruitment agencies so that you can get notifications when roles pop up that suit your skill set. And also have a look on sites like LinkedIn or Indeed, or the company's website is often a really good place to start. There's typically career pages there. So, like I said, make sure that you're really tailoring your resume to the role, research the company, and even if you do get that call, make sure that you do a bit of research into the potential interviewee who you might be meeting with as well. That can really help. You never know, you might know someone who knows someone, and often in the IT community, being such a small, tight-knit segment, often everyone knows everyone in this industry, as a lot of you probably know. So that's the first challenge really, is actually finding the right role that suits you. And then the next step is the interview process. So make sure that the time that you choose to have that interview actually fits in with your lifestyle. If you currently have a role and the interview sort of overlaps with your current job, or maybe you have to pick your children up or drop them off, that's going to stress you out, and it also will put time constraints onto your interview. So you do run the risk of potentially being late. Now, as a person who screens candidates quite often, everyone does have excuses or reasons as to why they might be a bit late. But at the end of the day, any employer or any of my clients may just think that that's just an excuse, even if your dog really is sick. Unfortunately, it does show a little bit of lack of commitment and lack of organisation. Obviously, be mindful of traffic, do a little run through firsthand, make sure that there's available parking, or also check with public transport as well, that everything's running on time as well. So make sure that interview does fit in with your schedule. Be 15 minutes early. I think that's the golden time, everybody. No earlier, no later. At the end of the day, like I said, you definitely don't want to be running late. If the time doesn't suit you, try and reschedule it. The employer is going to much more appreciate you rescheduling that interview than showing up late. Have a think about the flaws that you might have. Is your handshake not that good? Are your communication skills not up to scratch? And make sure that in the lead up to the interview that you're working on fixing those things. Maybe speak with a friend or a colleague and see, is my handshake any good? Can you understand me clearly? Are there specific words that I say too often, for example? And just make sure that you work on those. Don't take too many objects to the interview. I actually saw one time, I went for a job interview myself, and a lady before me stood up and dropped her phone. She dropped her laptop. I think she might have even had a friend beside her with her in the interview. Don't take friends or spouses. Honestly, it sounds crazy, but it does happen more often than you think. Hats or gloves or, backpacks. Try to really lighten the load and don't take too many items with you. And I tend to stick to black and white for job interviews. I know there's some research into the psychology of reflecting the colours that you wear and the logo colours of the company. That's all great, but if you do accidentally make the wrong call and you're wearing a lime green top, that's the logo's colour, but you also may run the risk of as well standing out for the wrong reasons. So you might want to just stick to black and white wherever possible. Make sure you're clean, neat, that you smell nice. Check in the mirror before you go, or take a little mirror with you, because you might sit down on something on the tram or whatever it might be. So no fumbling, don't take too many items, and be on time. When you get there, have an icebreaker ready to go for in the foyer, because you might get into the office and then you're sitting there. Definitely don't play with your phone and have that switched off. But when the interviewer comes up to you and you start walking towards the room, sometimes that can be a whole level or two away. So have an icebreaker, say something like, "It's a brilliant office you've got here," or "Geez, this location's really fantastic. There's a great coffee shop downstairs." Something along those lines that just breaks the ice, okay? So when it comes to the actual interview, you may have one, you may have two, or even more people sitting on that interview. Make sure that you acknowledge everyone in the room. It's really important to make eye contact. Be engaging. Have a smile on your face. Make sure that you're speaking clearly, communicating clearly. I know a lot of people within the IT industry, and this isn't everyone, tend to be a little bit more introverted. If you're not comfortable talking about all of this other stuff and yourself and your personality, speak about the technology, talk about your technical skill set. That is what they're in the end hiring you for. So even if the interviewer is someone like myself, a recruiter, or their HR, if they don't understand the technology and the IT skills that you're obviously being hired for, they probably shouldn't have their job. So they will have a fundamental basis or understanding of the tech. Make sure that you talk about it. Plus, that gives you much more authority as well. Makes you look like you actually know what you're talking about. You're not just being hired for your personality. Although that is important, the technical skills often in this industry override those other factors. So when you're in the interview, have a speech prepared. Be really ready, guys. Make sure the night before that you've got something written down and rehearse it. So you might want to talk about your background in a chronological order. Have a story that's interesting and engaging. Maybe talk about a project that you once worked on and the challenges that you faced and how you overcame those. Name statistics, dates, whatever it might be that really engages that person. If you know someone within the organization, maybe you're going for a role at, let's just say, Telstra, and you know someone who works within that particular vertical, mention their name. You never know. It might actually be a really good in to the role. And often people do hire people that they know or have worked with before. And that's mostly because you become a known entity. And that's quite useful because at least they understand that your work is quality and that you're tried and tested, basically. So have a nice speech prepared and a bit of a story and be engaging. And like I said, if that doesn't necessarily suit your personality and you don't really like talking too much about things that aren't necessarily explicitly related to the programming languages that you're familiar with or whatnot, just talk about the tech, okay? Make sure that you keep eye contact, you allow the other person to speak, that you sit with great posture, that you don't fidget too much. Ensure that you give the other person an opportunity to ask you questions, and although you've got a speech prepared, understand that you've got to answer those questions. So don't just trail off onto a different topic that's, irrelevant, okay? So I guess for me, what I look for in a candidate when I'm meeting with someone to put forward to a client, it's typically that level of enthusiasm and that deeper understanding of the company. They've done their research. I mean, how impressive is it when an employer knows a lot about you and maybe some things that you've been involved in, and they mention that in the interview? You start to think, wow, this person really cares. They've gone out of their way, out of their time to really put in effort. They want to see that. So that means reading articles, asking friends about what projects are going on within the organizations, or maybe challenges that they're facing, or something that's been in the news recently. You can ask questions related to that. Have 3 really intelligent questions for the follow-up at the very end of the interview, just in case they ask you some things. Like in case they say, do you have any questions? You could ask things around when you're looking to have someone on board, just to make sure that you look keen and sound interested. Don't have a flat face, no expression. Don't stay too quiet, because that is your golden opportunity to really represent yourself in the best light. And I guess that tails back onto your resume. When you're putting in your CV, similar to when you're meeting with someone, that resume, unfortunately, is the only thing they can really go by. So make sure that looks brilliant. Work with a professional, pay to have your resume redone or edited if you have to, because at the end of the day, that's what you're relying upon. Similar to the interview, they don't know who you are. They're only basing it on your resume and the interview right now. So that's your first and your golden opportunity. So another thing that I really think is important is do not speak about things that are negative. If you're looking to leave your current role because there's bullying going on and it's a horrible toxic environment, don't make that the center and the focus on the reason why you're going for a job. As well, for graduates, don't hone in too much on the fact that you have such limited experience. There's no excuse for a graduate to not have some form of experience. And I mean, you could be a voluntary role. I would gladly, feel free to get in touch with me. I'd gladly have someone on board to come and help me run the Victorian Engineering and IT Expo that I'm the vice chair of, just to give them some exposure. And I did that this year with a couple of uni students, had them get involved, set up the stalls. It's simple, and it's not necessarily in the development or cybersecurity, but you're showing the initiative that you're getting out there, and that exposes you to greater experience to the various companies, and it helps you to build your network. And leveraging your networks is the most important thing. It's all about reciprocation, guys. That's why I say share this video, because it might actually help someone. Be there for others, because they will do the same for you. It's really important. IT is such a niche industry. There's not a lot of us, particularly females, in the IT industry, and that's something that my company works to amend and help equalize, is women in the IT sector. So I work with a lot of large companies and small startups to bring on more females who are highly skilled into their workplace, just to get that diversity happening. Because like I said, it's a small, tight-knit community, and you really need to build yourself a brilliant reputation and recognize that what you're doing is something that not a lot of people out there can do. So understand your value as well. Your salary, make sure that you know exactly what you're worth. Do your research, ask a professional, give me a call, and know what the market is paying and where you sit within that, because if you're pitching yourself too high or too low, both can have really bad consequences, guys. So make sure that your salary is on par with your skill set and what you bring to the table. And make sure that you write down, whilst you're in a role, if you're not looking for a job actively at the moment, write down what you're working on and the contributions and achievements that you're having within your current organization. Do that every 1 to 3 months, because that will help you build up a brilliant resume. And when it comes to the CV, I will do a video next on how to edit your CV, what to have on there, what not to have on there, and little things that you really need to make sure you look out for when it comes to amending and editing those documents, because it's crucial for securing yourself a role. Anyway, look, that's the end of this video. I don't have any time left. I really hope that you picked up something. Drop a comment below, like and share this, and get onto the website, which is www.reesby.com.au. I'll pop a link down below so that that's easy for you to all find. If you have any questions, feel free to reach myself or the team and just ask for some advice. Maybe you're not necessarily actively looking, but you might be potentially open for some opportunities. So, and also comment any other tips that I might have left out. I'll probably do a part 2 as well, just because it is such a long-winded topic, really. Anyway, I hope you all have a brilliant day. Follow me on LinkedIn, and I will surely be posting some more videos shortly. All right, thank you all. Bye.